Welcome, everybody, to Game Over Toronto. A Leafs win against the Florida Panthers, but right off the top, we have a special guest who brought a special guest. It's amazing. We have, first and foremost, got to give it a little introduction. Our guest here is a retired astronaut, Air Force captain, as well as a best-selling author. His newest book is called The Defector, out right now. And we have Ed Robertson from the Barenaked Ladies. Right, just because. Welcome to the show. What did you guys think of the game? And Armaan is here. I'm sorry, Armaan. How are you doing today?
That's okay. You don't really need to introduce me after those two. It's a tough intro.
I know. Yeah, guys, how was the game? How did you guys feel?
The game was fantastic. I mean, it was a roller coaster of emotions, and at the end, it got so confusing. But we were so happy that it ended in our favor.
And we actually, because there was a confusion, a lot of people were leaving. Ed and I had walked down in the arena, and so we were right down there, right up with our noses against the glass for the winning shot at the end. So
amazing!
It was outstanding. It ended up being a great game.
Yeah, I actually ended up turning off my stream after Rodriguez scored, and then Rob,
Armaan, how dare you?
Rob, our producer, messaged me or said that it didn't finish, so I turned it back on. But yeah, wild game.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So yeah, how did you feel like? So I want to talk to you, Chris, about so you had a book. It was called, it's called like talking about the life lessons of an astronaut. What kind of life lessons would you give to this team after a game like that, where it started off so poorly, but ended off so wildly interesting? Like, what kind of life lessons do you think this team needs from you right now?
Well, I think what really saved the day, what really allowed me to do the things that I got to do was not giving up at the first try, was recognizing some things are not going to go well. Nothing's going to go the way you plan. What's that quote? If you want the gods to laugh, tell them your plans. And
yeah.
And yet they came in lackluster. That's okay. Not everyone comes out super sharp, but we kept the score close enough. Wall was absolutely brilliant, kept the team going, and then we came back, tied up the game, and carried that right through to the end, and put in the effort, and then amazingly enough, even won in the shootout. So I think, what I would put as a life lesson out of that is keep the objective in mind. Don't give up. It's never as late as you think. You can fight it right to the very end, and it's just an amazing what can happen through the course of a game. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I think what we just witnessed has to be the least shots on goal during power plays by a team that won the game.
Honestly, that last power play, oh God, we talk about that all day.
Yeah,
but, speaking
near the goal.
Yeah. A lot of shots
sure.
toward net.
Yeah, they tried. They tried. Net. Shot attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking, obviously as an astronaut or even on a band, you guys work as a team, consistently, and the mistakes on a space station are far more consequential than anything on a hockey team. What lessons do you take from being an astronaut and working as a team that can apply to things like sports? And even for you, Ed, making a mistake on stage is a lot like making a mistake on the ice. And like, what can you take away in terms of your communication with your team members? Because we saw the Leafs kind of missing cues, not hitting their passes quite a bit. Do you see, things in your personal experiences that can sort of apply to that area of the game as well?
It's really easy to learn skills and practice skills and execute and iterate on things you've studied. It's a lot more important and difficult to transition when your plans change or when you're thrown a curve or a wrench in the system. It's not about all the knowledge that you must acquire. It's about how you deal with adversity. And I think it's, Chris, I'm sure would agree. I think the superpower of my band is that we are never afraid to fail. So we dare to try ridiculous things all the time, because it's way more exciting than just doing what you practiced 1,000 times.
And what we do in order to successfully fly a rocket ship or to command a space station, I was an astronaut for 21 years. I was in space for 6 months. So for 20 and a half years, I did stuff that nobody saw, that wasn't life or death, but was absolutely necessary to build the skills, just like everybody out on the ice tonight. You see them out there and you think, oh, Nylander's having an off night. But just think of the number of hours and the number of reps and iterations and skill drills he's done since he was a kid, so they get out there and play like he played in Sweden recently and like he'll play for the rest of the year. So I think there's a parallel. If you're going to be on the stage, if you're going to have high stakes, you've got to put in the quiet, unanswered, personal effort to raise your skill level and the skill level of the people around you.
I've also had the good fortune of playing in a few charity tournaments, and Barenaked Ladies for many years, we brought hockey gear and we would rent local ice and rent goalies and play games on our day off. And I had the incredible value of getting to play with some NHLers who would be considered among the least skilled players in the league at the time.
Yeah.
And one NHL player among a group of guys who think they're amazing, that one guy will look like Wayne Gretzky on the ice. And he's the guy that everyone in the stands will be going, oh, trade him for a bag of pucks. So beyond your skill level that it's almost unfathomable. One man can control 2 teams playing on the ice. Guys that played like 12 years of, AA hockey.
Yeah.
It's another stratosphere.
Totally. So, Commander, I just wanted to ask before we wrap this up, I wanted to ask about your newest project, The Defector, out now. It's a novel, and I just wanted to ask. First of all, I'd like to know about the novel, but like, when did this, the bug to write fiction come about for you? Obviously, you had a lot of your life dedicated to becoming an astronaut and Air Force pilot. When did that creative spark come for you writing fiction?
Fouad, imagine if you had just spent the last 6 months on board a spaceship, going around the world every 90 minutes. And then you get into your little capsule and you come screaming down through the atmosphere, getting crushed into your seat. And then the vehicle, the parachute opens, you slam into the ground, it rolls end over end. You open up the hatch, and then you sort of stagger out unsteadily up onto your feet. What do you do then? What do you do with that incredible, rare, new human experience? And I just thought it was way too deep and rich and worthwhile just to keep to myself. And so, I've played music with Ed about it. We've written songs about it together. I've talked to people all around the world. I've also written some books, and I've written nonfiction. But when you write fiction, you can sort of look at the same thing from a bunch of different people's point of view. You can tell the same event from a bunch of different emotional reactions. So you can really get the reader in on what it's truly like, get the sense of things. And I've always been, fascinated and absorbed by a well-written fiction book, one that really transports me away from what I'm doing. So my first fiction, The Apollo Murders, it's done great. It's being made into a television series by Sylvester Stallone's production company, which he calls Balboa Productions. And then this new book, which has been a bestseller since it came out, it's called The Defector, and it's the tale of a Soviet. It's during the Cold War. It's spies and lies and all kinds of twists of plot. But it goes from wartime during the Yom Kippur War 50 years ago to then out to the deserts of Nevada, where they confiscated Soviet airplanes were tested right next to the Nevada nuclear test range. And the twist of the plot in amongst all the reality. And it's is the #1 best-selling book in Canada. So I'm super excited and proud of that. And I think everybody who's going to read it everyone's read it so far has really enjoyed the plot and the escape of having a chance to live a little bit in my world.
My pal Chris is kind of an underachiever.
I was gonna say, wow.
An extensive resume.
That's amazing.
Oh,
well, guys, we really appreciate Commander and yourself, Ed, for jumping on our stream here. It's been a amazing 15 minutes here, and we're just so happy that you guys were able to jump on. Chris, let them know where you can find this amazing new novel of yours, and Ed, let us know what you got going on as well.
All right, you first.
We just released a new record. I think it's our 18th studio record. It's called In Flight, coincidentally.
Oh,
it's available on your phone. You don't even have to go to a record store. I love it. I think it's the best record we've ever made, which is a great way to feel 35 years into your career.
And my new book, like all the books, they're available anywhere that you buy books. If you could support an independent bookstore, that's a great thing to do. You know, there's a lot of little stores right across Canada that are really counting on a big book to come out, because it makes a difference of profit or loss for that store for the whole year. So you can get it anywhere. You can order it online. You can read it. You can. I even have Ray Porter will read the book to you if you want. But makes a pretty nice Christmas gift as well. That album, this book, and if you can go get it from a local indie bookstore, it'd be good for everybody.
Well, thanks again, guys, for joining us for Game Over Toronto. Thanks again for your time, guys.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Good to see you both.
Take care. Everybody watching? Oh, yeah, that's right. You got it. Absolutely. Well, everybody, we're going to be right back with a regular scheduled Game Over, where we're going to talk about the game in more depth. Thanks again for joining us,
Hey, guys.
Commander and Ed. Thank you for joining us.